Most people don't actually love the person who helps them. They love the help. And that illusion can feel dangerously close to love. Because when someone's life starts falling apart, suddenly you become the most important person in their world. Your phone rings when they are lost. Your messages fill up when they are confused. In their worst moments, they run to you. And you answer every time. Because it feels like proof that you matter. But pause for a second and ask yourself something uncomfortable. When their life stabilizes, when the crisis fades, when they no longer need fixing, where do they go? Slowly, quietly, they disappear until the next storm arrives. And you convince yourself this is normal. You tell yourself that being the person everyone depends on must mean you are valued. But here is the truth most people spend years avoiding. Being needed is not the same as being loved. And the role you are proud of playing in everyone's life might be the exact reason no one truly sees you. Because the moment you have nothing left to give, everything becomes clear. The moment you stop solving problems, the moment you stop carrying everyone else's burdens, that is when a very uncomfortable reality reveals itself. You finally discover who was there for you, and who was only there for what you could do. And the story of a man named Elias reveals exactly how that realization happens. There's a quiet role many people slowly grow into without even noticing it. The one who listens to everyone. The one who fixes problems. The one people run to when their life starts falling apart. At first it feels meaningful. When someone trusts you with their struggles, it feels like you matter. When people rely on you, it feels like proof that you are important in their lives. And slowly, this becomes your identity. You become the dependable one, the strong one, the one who always understands. But something subtle begins to change when you live this way for too long. People stop associating you with who you are and start associating you with what you provide. The comfort, the advice, the emotional support. Your presence becomes valuable mostly in the moments when someone needs something. And because helping people feels good, you rarely question it. In fact, it slowly reinforces a quiet belief in your mind that your value comes from how much you give, how much you carry, how available you are for everyone else. So you keep showing up. You keep helping. You keep absorbing pieces of other people's struggles. Until one day, something uncomfortable begins to reveal itself. Everyone knows you will always be there. But almost no one asks whether you might need someone too. Take a moment and think about the people in your own life. If you stopped helping them tomorrow, how many would still call you just to ask how you are? For most people, the truth behind that question only becomes clear when life forces them into a moment where they can no longer be the one who gives. That moment eventually came for Elias. There was a man named Elias who had slowly become the person everyone relied on. Not because he asked for that role, and not because he ever tried to stand out. It simply happened over time. If someone's car broke down late in the evening, Elias was the one who arrived with his tools. If a neighbor was going through a painful divorce and needed someone to talk to, Elias would sit with them for hours, long after everyone else had gone home. When a friend lost his job and felt like his life was collapsing, Elias was the one helping him search for opportunities and reminding him that things would get better. People often said the same thing about him, that he had a rare kind of heart, that the town was lucky to have someone like him. And every time he heard those words, something inside him felt certain that this was his place in the world. To help, to be the person others could lean on when life became heavy. But there was a quiet assumption hidden inside that role, one Elias had never stopped to examine. He believed that the more people depended on him, the more they must value him. What he did not realize was that One very ordinary moment would eventually challenge that belief. As the years passed, helping people stopped being something Elias occasionally did. It quietly became the role everyone expected him to play. It began with small favors. A quick ride somewhere, helping a neighbor repair something, listening to a friend who had a rough day. None of it felt heavy at first. In fact, it felt meaningful. Being the person others trusted gave Elias a quiet sense of purpose. But small favors have a strange way of multiplying. One request becomes another. One problem leads to 10 more. Soon people stop asking if you can help. They simply assume you will. And Elias always did. If life became difficult, they called Elias. If someone felt lost, they called Elias. If someone needed support, they called Elias. But slowly something began changing inside him. A quiet weight. Not the kind of tiredness sleep fixes. Something deeper. As if pieces of his time, his energy, and his attention were being taken away little by little. But Elias ignored the feeling. Because people thanked him. And when someone says they don't know what they would do without you, it feels like love. But sometimes it is just dependence. And Elias was about to learn the difference. For years, Elias believed people valued him deeply. But a single quiet week would reveal something he had never been prepared to see. One winter morning, Elias woke up feeling unusually weak. At first, he ignored it. There were still things to do. People still needed help. But the weakness didn't pass. Days later, a doctor told him something simple. He needed real rest. No lifting. No long days. No running around solving everyone's problems. For the first time in years, Elias had to stop. At first, he assumed nothing would change. After all, he had spent years showing up for everyone else. Surely now people would show up for him. And in the beginning, a few messages arrived. Someone asked how he was feeling. A neighbor dropped off groceries. But after the first week, the calls became quieter. The visits stopped. The late-night conversations disappeared. The phone that once rang constantly now sat silent on the table. And in that silence, something uncomfortable began to surface. Were those people truly there for him? Or were they only there for what he could do? At first, Elias tried to dismiss the thought. People were busy. Everyone had their own lives. But quiet has a strange effect on the mind. When life finally slows down, truth has room to surface. Elias began replaying memories, conversations, favors, late-night phone calls. He remembered the urgency in people's voices when they needed something. But now something unsettling became clear. Those same problems were still being solved, just not with him. And slowly Elias realized something powerful. Being deeply useful to someone can feel exactly like being loved. The appreciation sounds the same. The gratitude feels the same. But usefulness and love are not the same thing. Love sees you even when you have nothing to offer. Usefulness sees what you can do. And when usefulness disappears, the attention often disappears with it. Once Elias saw the pattern clearly, something inside him began to change. Not in anger, not in bitterness, just in awareness. For years he believed saying yes meant kindness. But now he wondered something uncomfortable. What if saying yes had not always been generosity? What if it had been fear? Fear of disappointing people. Fear of no longer being needed. So Elias began asking himself a new question. Not, what do they need from me? But, do I truly have the energy to give this? It was a small question, but it changed everything. Because when helping becomes a choice instead of an obligation, you begin to see your relationships differently. And Elias was about to test that truth. For the first time in years, he was going to say no. The first time Elias said no, it felt unfamiliar, almost uncomfortable. A neighbor called asking for help fixing a gate. In the past, Elias would already have been on his way. But this time he paused and calmly said he couldn't help that night. There was silence on the phone. Not anger, just surprise. Over the next few weeks, this happened again. Some people understood. They asked how he was doing, but others reacted differently. Subtle frustration, quiet disappointment, and Elias finally understood something powerful. Boundaries do not create problems in relationships. They reveal them. Some people stepped closer. Others stepped back. And suddenly, Elias could see his relationships clearly for the first time. And this is the part most people never talk about. When you stop being endlessly available, your relationships reorganize themselves. The people who valued your presence remain. The people who valued your usefulness slowly disappear. Not because they are evil, but because the dynamic that kept them close no longer exists. And what remains after that shift is something much more honest. Connections based on respect, not dependence. If you have always been the person who gives, the one people rely on, the one who listens when everyone else disappears, then Elias' story might feel uncomfortably familiar. Not because people are cruel, but because patterns like this form quietly over time. Being needed can feel powerful. It can feel meaningful. It can even feel like love. But being needed and being valued are not the same thing. Real care reveals itself in quieter moments. When you are tired, when you are struggling, when you have nothing left to offer, those moments reveal who truly sees you. So here is the question this story leaves behind. If you stopped solving everyone's problems tomorrow, who would still remain in your life simply because they value you? Think about that for a moment. And if this story made you reflect on your own life, share your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. And if you enjoy thoughtful stories about human nature and relationships like this, consider subscribing to the channel. It really helps the channel grow. And I truly appreciate you watching.